Good evening, and welcome to Daily Decaf with Pastor Lisa. It's a time when we grab a cup of decaf together, take a deep breath, release the jitters and anxieties from our day, and find comfort in God's scripture together. This week, I feel called to continue to talk about the biblical ideals of community. As believers, we are held to certain ideals in our community. And fortunately for us, Scripture not only tells us what those ideals are, but how to live them out. The first and foremost commandment in Scripture is, of course, to love God with all our heart and soul and mind. The second is to love our neighbor as ourselves. And throughout Scripture, we are given examples of how this looks in real life. And so today I want to look at one of those. It comes from 1 Corinthians 13. It is a very well-known scripture because it's read at weddings. And it is a beautiful description of interpersonal love. But the truth is, it was written by the Apostle Paul for the community of Corinth at a specific historical time, a specific historical place. And the actual problem that they were having is that it was a community full of division, full of divisiveness. And Paul wanted to let them know what would bring them together, what would make them a more kingdom-like community, because that's what we're called to strive for. And so he wrote this scripture. Let's listen together. If I speak in the tongues of mortals and of angels, but do not have love, I am a noisy gong or a clanging cymbal. And if I have all prophetic powers and understand all mysteries and all knowledge, and if I have all faith so as to remove mountains, but do not have love, I am nothing. If I give away all my possessions, and if I hand over my body so that I may boast, but do not have love, I gain nothing. Love is patient. Love is kind. Love is not envious or boastful or arrogant or rude. It does not insist on its own way. It is not irritable or resentful. It does not rejoice in wrongdoing, but rejoices in the truth. It bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Now, friends, I have a favor to ask of you as we continue in conversation about this verse. This is one of those that it's very, very easy for us to say, oh, I wish so-and-so were here listening. They really need to learn about patience and kindness. I wish so-and-so were here. They really need to learn about love. So, friends, I want to invite you today only to think of yourself and consider yourself and measure yourself, because this kind of biblically commanded love is very difficult for us to live out. It's hard for all of us to do consistently. And so this is really just an opportunity for you to consider for yourself where you might grow in this command to love. We're going to talk about this scripture for a couple days because there's so much in those two tiny paragraphs we couldn't possibly speak about it in one evening. Today I want to talk about the first half. The Apostle Paul, I think it's really important to realize, is speaking respectfully to the Corinthians. He is assuming a certain level of goodness that is already within them. He's not saying they're horrible people. He's saying you're good people, but you need a little more. If I speak in tongues of mortals and angels, if I have prophetic powers and understand all mysteries and all knowledge, he is assuming that they are people with deep spiritual gifts and with deep academic wisdom. And still, he says, even with your spiritual gifts, even with your academic knowledge, if you don't have love, it's not enough. He talks about if they have faith, so as to move mountains, so deep faith. If they don't have love, it's not enough. He even says if you give away all your possessions and hand over your body, the deepest generosity, the deepest sacrifice, I think, right? Our own bodies, giving away all of our possessions and even our very beings. If we don't have love, even that level of generosity and sacrifice is not enough. Paul is talking to us. We are good people, trying to create good lives and good things in this world. I have no doubt we are already on the way together. But Paul reminds us that simply being good people, well-intentioned people, is not enough. The priority needs to be love, or else all of our goodness is not enough. Now, tomorrow we will talk about what that love looks like, lived out in our world, in our communities, in our lives. But for today, take comfort in the fact that Paul acknowledges that we are good people, and also take notice of the fact that it's not enough if we don't have love. So consider this for this evening, and I will talk to you tomorrow. Goodbye.